The reason why I had agreed to come here and talk, or I had thought that it might be an interesting session for both of us, because we all take something back from it, otherwise it's no point, is because there are certain concerns that I would want to share with all of you. And I also strongly feel that whatever walk of life that you may be from, that whatever you might be studying, there is a certain social engagement that we all need to do for our own selves, not to become great philanthropists and social workers. We all don't, social activists, like I was just telling some journalists earlier on, is a big term. It's a term that should be reserved for people who are really dedicating their lives to certain social causes. And I'm not doing that. I'm doing acting, I'm doing other things, and I'm just voicing certain concerns. That doesn't really qualify me to be a social activist. It probably qualifies one to be a concerned citizen who believes that voicing concerns is important. But I would only limit it to that. No. So I think for us, selfishly, for our own minds to be at peace, for ourselves to be happy, we need to make a better world. And the better world is not going to be made by somebody who's going to come from Mars or Venus, but it's going to be made by us. So I think that's the reason why I thought it might be interesting to talk to all of you about why is it important to engage oneself. Can one really do anything as individuals, as a commerce student, as a housewife, as a corporate officer? Is there really something that we can do? And if we can, then what is it that we can really do? Because often I feel young students come to me and they say, we really want to do something, but we don't know where to begin. And it is tough. There aren't enough platforms in our society which says that, okay, why don't you join this? When you have free time, why don't you come and do this? So many of us who probably don't know how to go about it feel even more lost. And I think somewhere, I don't know how you feel, but there is almost a guilt of being privileged. Because we are so privileged, you feel, oh my God, I'm doing nothing with my privileges. Am I just going to sit and enjoy those privileges, something that I've just been born with? I really have no contribution to it. It just so happened I was born in this country. It just so happened I was born in this family. It just so happened I was born in this religion. It just so happened I was born with whatever I have. So there is not that much of contribution of mine, and yet I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing about spreading that privilege, about at least, like what we say, unheard voices. There are so many voices that one never even gets to hear. So can one become a voice of those unheard voices? So I think it's for each one of us. There are no formulas, there are no rules, there are no great platforms that you are ever going to get in your life, where you'll say, okay, this, NGOs and all that is just a supportive mechanism. But as individuals, what is it that we can do? And I think what we can do is, wherever we are working, one is to work honestly. How much does it take to be honest? Actually not too much. Increasingly, when one travels and sees various people from the smallest to the highest official bodies, there is a certain amount of dishonesty that's crept into our lives. We are not even aware of it. To be mildly dishonest seems to be the way of life. That, come on, that's hardly dishonest. Don't make such a big deal about it. There are people who are going to tell you that. But there will be others who may not be able to, say that much, but are going to secretly admire you and learn from you. And you need to have that confidence. Even just in our own lives, if we do that little bit, we will surely inspire others. There will surely be a rippling effect. So it's a very thin balance of not becoming overconfident that yes, I can change the world, or not losing complete confidence saying, oh, even if I do it, even if I'm not corrupt, even if I don't take dowry, or even if I don't do this, X, Y, Z, nothing is going to happen. But to say that yes, I will make that little difference and create that balance that I too can make a difference. And I think that is what each one of us has to find. Within our work, is there scope to do our work differently? How you deal with your subordinates, how you deal with your seniors, how you deal with your peer group, how you deal with your parents, how you deal with a friend. Everything becomes actually a sense of example for somebody or the other. There are people constantly observing, and one good deed, one little gesture that you may do may change certain things around you or your concern. Next time something like this happens, I think they will make the first move. So you don't know, that first move is always difficult to make. But once you make it, I think it gives you such a deep sense of, of being, of even respecting yourself. and what it does to others. I think others, it gives them the strength. When you speak up, there'll be people who'll come and say, oh, please don't philosophize, or don't try to be such a goody, or I don't know, these are all bad words these days, but don't try to be a social worker, don't do this, that. But there will always be also people who will learn from you, who will admire you. I think you will respect yourself better, and it just changes your quality of life. Also, therefore, it's important to vocalize. If you don't like something that's happening around you, I think it's important to say. You will again have 10 people putting you down and saying, let it be, if you say you're asking for trouble. But if you truly believe in it, you will realize you will also have the strength to go through those troubles. It won't seem like a trouble. It will seem like the logical conclusion. There is something wrong that's happening, whether in your class, in your workplace, at your home, wherever. And you have spoken about it, so you will get some opposition. If I didn't know that, probably one wouldn't have done a film like Fire, or attempted to do Water because it never finished, or Bhavandar, or various films that in some way what we call controversial. Why does a film or anything become controversial? Is there, because we think that some people say it's right, some people say it's wrong. You also go through those right and wrongs and you say, okay, this is probably the path that I want to take. For instance, Fire. It's a film that everybody hesitates. I mean, maybe 6 years ago they hesitated even more. Now there is a little less hesitation because so much has been talked and written and discussed, good, bad, ugly, all kinds. And that's why in that whole journey, I think I have grown also as a person, learning from that whole experience. Not just the making of a film, but all that follows it. All the debates and discussions, from people absolutely hating it and saying this is against our Indian culture, to another extreme, or to a much smaller section also saying that, why do even two women have to have a justification of bad marriage to show that they are in a homosexual relationship? But the maximum people, about 70 to 80%, I would say, were just confused. They just didn't know what to say or what to feel or what is right, what is wrong. Intellectually they felt one thing, emotionally they felt the other. So there was complete confusion. And that's why I remember there's a wonderful quote by Martin Luther King. He had said in his times, which is so relevant today, he had said that in our times we will repent not for the evil deeds of the bad, but for the silences of the good. It's often the good that is silent. The majority of people, we just go on with our lives. So my appeal is that go on with your life, enjoy your life, have a great time, make lots of friends, do good work, earn a lot of money, but also stretch yourself a little bit to do something that you feel is more worthwhile, is meaningful, and in some way can contribute to a better world.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Education is obviously the way forward for women. What, according to you, can be done to make them a lot more...
Education, definitely, like you said, but there's something called inner confidence, which you will see sometimes even educated women don't have it, and you see a completely uneducated woman in a village also who sort of stands up and says what she feels. Inner confidence is something that we have to inculcate. The minute you feel that it's not your fault.
Against mistreatment against women.
In general, what keeps me going about these issues is a certain belief. I think it gives me a lot of pleasure, it gives me a lot of strength, because I think like all of us, we are what we are because of various influences. Because as a child we read certain things, we saw certain films, certain people came and talked to us about something. So I feel if so many people have touched my life, I would at least want to, in my little way, touch other people's lives. And that's what keeps me going. In terms of women, I think because in my work, when I used to do social work, I used to work with women. And the kind of disparity that I saw in my own life and theirs was so huge. That's when it really hit me that there are so many women who do not, even equal opportunities is forget it, it's like a far cry. Even basic, basic opportunities or basic equality doesn't even exist. While I knew it theoretically, but to see it day in and day out was very disturbing, But it's been a pleasure being here and talking to all of you, and I hope that we'll get more opportunities to interact more intimately also and getting to know each other better. Thanks.